If you think for 1 second that the real line of the tribe of Judah looked anything like me, you're deceived by the devil. When you're ready to learn the truth of your identity, watch Judah TV or get a copy of Hebrew Israelites for Dummies, available now at judahmobile.org.
Royalty, power to the chosen people.
A woman's supposed to read Torah, study it. She's supposed to learn from her elders and her husband the truth, not his idea, not his agenda, but the truth. And then if she's instructed to teach, then she takes that to the other women. It's not this whole let me get little people to perpetuate my thoughts. That's not what Torah is about. And that's not what instructing women is about. So you have these camps who have their doctrine, and then women can only teach things within their camp doctrine. But there's also truth that is not in their camp doctrine. See, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not in a camp. So if that offends somebody, I'm sorry. But I'm not going to carry out things that cannot be substantiated by Torah and observational evidence. I'm not doing it. Video for two reasons. The first reason is I've gotten mixed comments, and more positive than negative, about me teaching head coverings, whether I should or should not be teaching. And I feel like as a nation of people, we should be much further than that. For two reasons. First of all, and not to make this a rant, but first of all, we're not Christians. Let's just get that all the way. So these little weird laws that people are making that don't have support, or are partially supported, or are male chauvinistic in nature, they just have to stop. The Torah is on a duality. And the duality is supposed to become one. There is a feminine side of Torah and there is a masculine side of Torah. The job of the woman is to instruct in all of Torah. It's very interesting because as a woman, we teach the male children as well as the female children. So it is our job to be instructed in Torah. So my passion for sharing information to women in a masculine and feminine perspective is so that as we teach our children, we give them a full and well-rounded idea of what is expected of them according to Torah. So oppressing or suppressing that from a woman to another woman is not right. I believe that so many men, especially men in truth, are afraid of women knowing the truth because you have added unnecessary burdens and you've made Torah grievous. You've given yourself liberties to take other wives and to do all these things, and yet the woman is constantly being oppressed and suppressed in Torah, which is supposed to be where we are free. We should know what we're supposed to do so we're never confused, and everything that we are supposed to do in Torah works. And not only does it function in our families, but it functions in our lives, and it makes the woman whole and it makes the home whole. So when you add unnecessary burdens, you begin to fracture the family. Suppression, oppression, repression, all of these things are going to ruin the family. And so I'm here to tell the truth. People don't want me to tell the truth about what love is actually supposed to look like, what obedience is supposed to look like, what submission is supposed to look like, what meek and quiet spirits are supposed to look like, because you're getting your definitions from men who think that that's what they want a woman to be. But in Torah, we can't think, we have to know. And so I'm sorry if me saying these things is offensive. I have to tell the truth so that we can make our homes whole. People who are offended, they're offended because they want to control. The only control that a person has is the control that another person gives them. So every woman walking around not reading the Bible, only having it interpreted through the lens of a camp or a man who suppress, repress them is not what Yah's intention was. Women were supposed to teach women, and not wicked women, and not women who are going to tell them to run away from their homes and sleep with other men and be haughty and contentious. That's not what women who are in truth are trying to teach women. What we're trying to teach them is how to carry out their role in their homes, how to be respectful, how to carry on a spirit of meekness and quietness, and tell them what those things mean with a concrete understanding so that they can go back and teach it to their children and they can carry it out to the next generation. But as long as you get this idea of this is how a man interprets this and this is how it's supposed to look, it's never going to work. A woman has to know all of Torah. And you hear me teaching something that is either masculine or feminine, a woman, everyone should know all of Torah, but especially a woman, because she, at those children, she has to teach her sons how to keep the commandments. She has to teach her daughters how to keep the commandments. And if she doesn't know Torah, if she does not have a full grasp and understanding of it, then she's going to ruin the next generation. And so my passion and why I say these things on this channel and why I bring them out in the way that I do is because we're past the time of people telling you what Torah says, telling you how something is interpreted. Why can't we just read it from the word and understand it that way? A lot of men are so upset at the feminist movement, but equally support the Black Lives Matter movement, right? I'm not a feminist by nature of semantics and what the world says a feminist is, but I do believe in the idea that there should be a proper understanding of the role of a woman so that she can carry it out. So where that got perverted is because of suppression, oppression, and repression. When you take a role and then you thumb on it and press it and you try to mold it into what you feel like it is instead of what it was designed to be, then you ruin it, right? So if you take a so-called man and you turn him into a woman, or you feminize him, or you castrate him, or you put him in prison, you have suppressed, oppressed, and repressed, and then guess what comes out of that? Black Lives Matter. You all who suppress, oppress, and repress women in Torah are creating hellions of women. Women who will rise up and will revolt against their culture and go other directions, like Egyptology and Black consciousness and Pan-Africanism, where they are supported and so supposedly loved and not objectified, which I mean, is not necessarily all the way true. But that's why people leave this walk, because you're doing the same thing that the world has done to you, to our women within this culture. And so you come for me as a woman when I try to tell them, this is not what Torah was like. This is not how it's set up. This is not how a man is supposed to treat a woman. This is not how sex looks. This is not how marriage looks. And you come for me when I believe that I'm being used as a vessel to keep our women from leaving from something that's so rich and so loving and so supporting of the woman and so praising of her and her proper and natural function, and it shows it. And you want me from doing it because my head's not covered? That's just crazy. Or because it somehow makes you have to do something. So now I'm teaching you because you came on a channel called Her Royal Roots. Not my royal roots, but her. Her meaning the women, all of them, her royal roots. And you're upset for me sharing with them from a feminine perspective while showing them the masculine side of Torah. And somehow I'm doing some kind of disservice to the kingdom. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. And I don't know how else to say this. But I'm not going to stop sharing with women the truth about Torah, because we're angry, resentful, tired, and just flat out disgusted at religion, because every time we get an understanding of what we're supposed to be doing, somebody's always trying to tell us how to do it instead of just listening to the Father. Does a man know what it's like to benefit in a situation where a woman is actually being a woman? Do we even know what that looks like? It's not westernized, sit in a corner, shut up, let me do whatever I want to do. That's not Torah. And I don't care how you slice it. I don't care how you feel. Torah doesn't tell women to shut up. There are plenty of women who spoke. If it wasn't for Huldah and Deborah and Esther and all these women who spoke up, there's a way to speak up. And by God, let me show them how to do it. Let me share with the women how that's supposed to look. Because there is a time to be assertive. There is a time, like Hadassah, to risk your life, to talk to a tyrant about how your people are being treated. If we never show our women how to be women, then if it comes into the hands of a woman to save us, she'll just sit in the corner and not say anything because it's not her place. That's not what we're teaching. That's not what Torah's teaching. It's so much bigger than the man's ego. Torah's not about your ego. It's not about you. It's just not. It's not about me. It's not about women as a whole, but it's about a family. And when you suppress and repress one portion of me. Okay, so I'm making this video because there's a lot of weird contention around teaching the truth, and it seems very, very strange because the purpose of this walk is to be awakened to more truth. There is no such thing as stagnant water in Torah because Torah is constantly bringing forth new water. Torah is like rain, it comes down and it's refreshing and it's always renewing the soil. So, for there to be individuals, primarily male individuals, who are upset with me or other women sharing truth with other women, I find that to be a little strange. I don't want this to turn into a rant of no sort, but I want to kind of bring forth a couple of things that need to be taken into consideration. First, it is the purpose of a woman to teach women. That's the goal. It's not the purpose of women to go to men to be taught things in Torah that pertain to women. The perspective is off. The understanding is off. The way that Torah works is that it's built on observational evidence, so it should be able to be lived out. So a man can't live out Torah for a woman. He's supposed to enforce Torah in his home, the masculine side of Torah and the feminine side of Torah, so that the woman is carrying out her portion of Torah and that the males, including himself in his home, are carrying out their portion. His daughters are supposed to be encouraged to carry out Torah, because remember, walking in Torah is not a negative, it's a positive. So when you're encouraging your family to carry out their the commandments, especially the ones that apply to them, but also the ones that apply to the whole family, then you are actually walking in a greater role. But trying to reinterpret those things that apply to the woman based upon a masculine understanding is a perversion of Torah. So if I, as a woman, come and explain something from a woman's perspective to women, because I mean, not that I don't enjoy that other people benefit from this page, but it is titled Her Royal Roots. And I'm not talking about me being her, I'm talking about them being her. So it's supposed to be personal. So if a person comes across this page and sees me explaining something from a feminine point of view to other women who are supposed to be learning their commandments that pertain to them from a feminine point of view, and you happen to learn something, then that's not me being in violation of something. If I'm in violation for teaching, it's because you are on my page. So if you have an issue with what's on the page, I would just recommend that you probably not come to the page, because the whole purpose is me walking in my given role and sharing Torah with women and sharing with them the duality of it. I have to show women the masculine side as well as the feminine side. If I don't do so, then I would be doing like a lot of other people and sharing only a partial portion of Torah. And that's not my goal. And I don't think that's the Father's goal as well. So I apologize if I offend anyone, but that's not my. I'm apologetically unapologetic, I guess, if you want to put it that way, and in the most humble way possible, because I don't think I should be negatively categorized for doing something that's within my role. The second thing, I keep getting these people talking about my head not being covered. Once again, I'm not going to perpetuate other people's lies. I've done that so long. We've done it in Christianity. Because something makes people feel uncomfortable doesn't mean that people have to adhere to it. I have heard all your arguments about culture and about this, about that. And while I'm all for those things, I'm also a very big stickler of sticking to the word. And if anyone, and I mean any person, can give me chapter and verse on where I have to, in order to make videos, cover my head, and if I'm not doing it, I'm in some violation of Torah, not Paul, not anybody else, but Torah, then I will gladly do so. I have no issue covering my head. If you go through my videos, all of them, you'll see that more often than not I do, because I really, really enjoy that portion of our culture. I believe that there's a place for it. I believe that it's beautiful. I believe that it's something that should be practiced. But do I believe it's a commandment? No. And you would be hard pressed to find it being so. So instead of adding unnecessary burdens and turning into Pharisees about things that are just, they're just contentious. And that is what Paul said. You're making contention. So you would rather me not say anything, or you would rather take away all the positive things that are being said and focus on one thing. I just don't see that as being um, as being something that we should be doing in this walk, in this time. Why would we do things to turn people away? The reason why I do cover my head is because I understand that some people have not quite made the leap of embracing culture and embracing that as women, especially Hebrew women, that we are in a position and we are forced in this day and age to have to say Hebrew women lives matter, right? That sounds crazy, but it's so necessary. We are being suppressed, oppressed. You can pick any of them. It's happening. And it's happening because it is a part of the fracturing of the family. You don't want the portion of the family that you believe should not be allowed to flourish because of curses. Yet the men have to take on their proper position, and you still perpetuate a lot of curses. But it's part of the process of healing that as we get in Torah and as we learn the truth, that we actually practice and carry it out. It's only the truth of the word that can liberate. It's not somebody's ideologies. It's not somebody else's thoughts or opinions. It's the truth. It's the truth that causes us to walk. It's the truth that opens up our eyes and says, yes, we need to do that. Yes, we need to be women. Yes, we need to be submissive. Yes, we need to be obedient. Yes, we need to praise our husbands and we need to hold them up and we need to build them up. Why? Because the truth of the word teaches that. That's not man's personal opinion. That's Yah's opinion. And vice versa, those things are reciprocated. The same way that the European man and women too feared the black man learning is the same fear that's perpetuated and passed down to the black man. He fears the black woman learning. And it's crazy because it feels some kind of way that if you learn, then you'll leave me or you'll revolt against me or you'll turn my kids against me. You are perpetuating the fear of your forefathers. And it has to stop because it's killing the women in our community. Your carelessness, your oppressiveness, your um your stigmas that you put on us, you're too loud, you're too this, you're too that. Who told you that? Who told you how loud we, how quiet we should be, or how passionate we should be, or how docile we should be? Who told you that? Are you comparing us to women of other cultures? Because from my understanding of Torah, we are a passionate people. How can we have passionate men and not have passionate women? It doesn't make sense. There is a balance. Now, that passion should not be turned into anger, disrespect, rage, emasculation, none of those things, but it is necessary to raise up young kings and queens in our culture. And so to take that away from the women when she is the first representative of the family that the children experience is is going to kill the next generation. They have to be raised to be strong and bold. I don't know how many of you have read Maccabees, but the woman in the Maccabees with her 7 sons, she was not weak. She was not docile. Um, she was not timid, and it passed on. Those were not just traits of their father, those were traits of their mother. They did not fear in front of her, and she didn't teach them to fear. How can you raise up a next generation of fearless warriors and kings and people who are supposed to lead our nation and have docile, timid, abused, repressed, and oppressed women raising our children? It's impossible. It's impossible. But women with that fire and that roar and that amount of protection submitted to Yah and given the opportunity to fully embrace their femininity are what our culture needs. So coming here on this channel or to me, telling me what I should or should not do in the face of great danger and oppression that will come toward our people. You want me to teach women to sit back and just and not know the truth of their role and not know how to properly carry it out? You don't want a woman like that in your corner, and I don't want sisters like that marching beside me as we leave this captivity. So, as a woman who has the passion and who understands the passion that is bottled up, a generation of women who have held our families together while the men have been oppressed, repressed, suppressed, beat, and emasculated, it's now time to teach them how to harness all of that strength, meekness, power under control, how to put that power under control and use it to build their families and allow men to be in their proper position as well. That's my goal. My goal is not to continue to lie to them. My goal is not to your mystical fears of them actually learning and carrying out Torah and challenging the other people in their families to do so as well. That's not my goal. My goal is to take the women who are strong, take the lionesses, and teach them how to march according to the Torah and to be submissive and obedient according to the proper definitions and teach them how that works in the family so that we can grow as a nation. I'm for it. I'm more for it probably than anybody else you know. Because I'm not going to sit around and let some man intimidate me out of telling the truth about Torah. The truth of the matter is, if anybody takes Torah from a feminine or masculine perspective in order to cause contention in the home, then they should be killed. I understand that. So let's try not doing that. Let's not do that. And let's actually put Torah in its proper perspective and actually see how it works. Let's stop being fearful of strong women and strong men who are submitting their strength and their will to Yah in order to build the nation and the kingdom. Let's not oppress one and support the other. Let's not support one and demean the other. It's time to stop fighting against one another. You play your part, and I'll play my part, because we're playing it to the glory of the Father and his kingdom. It's not personal. I would much rather not say anything because of the amount of contention that comes when you tell a person something that's the truth. So we're going to stop perpetuating negative stigmas. We're going to stop talking about things that cannot be substantiated in Torah. Do not come on my page telling me what I cannot say in Torah without my head covered to another woman. If that's how you feel, this is not the place for you. If you do learn something from this channel, just know, so if it makes you feel better, I'm not trying to teach any man. If you come here and learn something, a person can learn something from anyone. You can learn something from a child. You can learn something from a tree. I don't care. I don't care if it's me that's doing it. I'm not trying to teach any male anything because as a man, it is your job to be instructing your family. So if you learn something, if it makes you feel better, I personally am not trying to teach any male. So you can soundbite that, clip it, share it, let the whole world know. Okay? But if you are here and you do learn something, great. I appreciate Yah for allowing you to be open-minded and open-hearted and being exposed to the femininity of Torah as well as the masculinity of Torah. I appreciate everyone who supports this channel, and I will continue to advocate for women. I'm not a feminist, but I do advocate for women. As a woman, I should be able to stand up for women and not be called a Jezebel or a feminist. And as a man, you should be able to stand up for men and be about men's rights and their lives, they matter, and not be called a chauvinist. Stop labeling each other based upon Western ideology. I am for women. Miriam, Moshe, and Aaron's sister, she was for women. That was her thing. I'm a woman. I'm for women. Not don't play the same card that the white supremacists play on you. If you're pro-black, then all of a sudden you're anti-white. If I'm pro-women, all of a sudden I'm anti-man. No, we're not going to play silly games anymore. We're going to come together as a nation and allow people to operate in their proper roles. I will never, ever, ever, ever do anything outside of Torah that's going to tear a person's family apart and then stick it in a video and somehow perpetuate that. But if you are outside of Torah and your wife learns something in Torah and you're unwilling to see it, that's an issue between you and the father. But I also will show women how to not nag when you are not open to the truth of Torah. So I'm not telling men or anybody to trust me. I'm just saying my goal is not to be here to disrupt Yah's natural order for his family. That's not what I'm here to do, supposed to be doing, which is there's somebody out there who is living in a situation or who does not understand their purpose and they really, really, really want to be a good wife, want to be a good mother, want to be submissive, want to support their families, want to be meek, want to be quiet, want to be virtuous, want to be chaste. And while we're all working toward that, that's the standard. I believe that there has to be a place where it can actually take place without being stifled by egos and how if I learned this, somehow my husband is going to be upset because his camp or his personal understanding or his Western ideology or what he believes about European women does not somehow fit into what I'm trying to do, and somehow she's suppressed for it. I'm tired of it. So yeah, I think that's all I have. Totally turned into a rant. But I need to say that. I feel like I should be able to say that. I feel like I put enough stuff out there to prove that I don't mean any of the negative things that somehow often seem to come up. And I hope we can continue on from here. So any men that are still on the channel, hey. And any sisters that are still here, I appreciate you. And I'm going to do my best. Not only to teach this stuff, but to actually live it out. It's a struggle for all of us. We all face the same amount of oppression, suppression, repression in our circles, in our families, in our homes. And it's constantly being broken by being obedient to Torah. We are going to trust the Father that he's going to do what he has done, and he's going to perfect the work that he has set out, and he's going to rebuild our nation and show us what it looks like without man's interpretation, without his ideologies, but with what Yah wanted it to look like, and how that is the most beautiful picture ever. Okay, shalom, shalom.